Welcome to Being at Home with George during the time of COVID. I'm very excited to be here and to once again begin with creating the possibility of both embracing whatever comes up and at the same time generating hope. 'Tis the season to be jolly. It's Christmas season as well as just holidays in general. And I'm reminded of this time of year. What normally happens during this time of year is there's certain movies that come on like Christmas Carol or The Scrooge and It's a Wonderful Life and that sort of thing. And the thing that I was reflecting on this week was this idea of getting into the spirit of Christmas and not being Scrooge-like, but being the opposite, having it be the time of giving. And even on TV, and it's one commercial that talks about joy, comfort, and peace, but it's connected with selling something. And so the idea here is to generate hope and to think about ways of relating to each other. This is a time of giving. And you hear this expression, it's better to give than receive. And so why is that important? And I think for me, the reason it's important is because it's one of the principles I practice is if you want to keep something, you give it away. And in this case of better to give, I'm not really talking about material things. I'm really talking about acts of kindness. I'm really talking about being in the spirit of just embracing, being able to see the divinity in each person. You know, this hand signal we use, acknowledging the divinity in the person that we're greeting. And so I think we need to make this shift, because why is it important to give rather than receive? Is because we get beyond this illusion of separateness, and it's the opposite of greed, it's generosity or sharing. Just be kind and just these positive emotions. We talk about generating hope, and we talk about the Hall of Fame, hope, optimism, and faith. And when we give to someone, especially if it's in a situation where we're just smiling or saying good morning or hello, regardless of whether the person acknowledges us or not, that there's a lot of opportunities here to give, and that emotions are contagious. So it's important that we do this because we have what they call the mirror neurons. And so when we are generating hope and optimism, when we are being kind and when we are being compassionate and empathetic and just seeing ourselves and others, it's a game changer. It totally changes things. And this idea of bringing light into it, or the St. Francis prayer of where there's hate, bringing love, and where there's discord, bringing harmony. And so this is a opportunity for all of us to make a contribution, because the interesting thing is we reap what we sow, and what we are planting today is going to manifest tomorrow. And so we are in this time where there's a lot of uncertainty with the pandemic and whatnot. And there's very little reason, if we're focusing on what's wrong, to really understand what's right and how can we make things better and not be separate and saying, okay, this person has to think like me, has to look like me, has to act like me, rather than saying we all have the right to exist. We all have the right to have happiness, or if we want to use joy, comfort, and peace, what are the seeds that we can plant to do that? And sometimes it's as simple as a smile, good morning, maybe dropping a friend of ours a good note, appreciating their relationship with us. So there's this idea of planting these seeds of kindness, of compassion, of love, especially unconditional love, and just being in harmony, or allowing other people to be different, valuing differences. But on a cellular level, on a soul level, we're all connected. We're all the same. And so we can get beyond this illusion of separateness, then it's easier for us to be generous, to be giving. And the interesting thing, I learned this when I got into 12-step recovery, is what I call you forget yourself to find yourself. And so when I'm hurting or when I'm frustrated, if I can just focus on helping somebody else who might be frustrated, or somebody else who may not be experiencing joy, comfort, and peace, that just by me helping them, I forget myself to find myself, because when I help them, I am also helping myself, because it's this lawfulness that says whatever I give is given to me. And so if I'm giving love, joy, compassion, tolerance, kindness to other people, that's coming back to me. So I would hope that we would use this opportunity and this season of giving. And even though we're celebrating Christmas, but there's all of these other holidays that are around the same time. And if we could just practice this idea of joy, comfort, and peace, or merrymaking. It's focusing on what's right. And that's what I know, even if you talk about it from the neuroscience, that this broad and build theory about when we can come at positive. That's why I keep saying generating hope. Well, how do we generate hope? Well, we can be hopeful if we're walking and we're kind of have some challenges we're dealing with, and the person that we know or don't know smiles at us and says, "Good morning, great to see you. How you been?" That helps us generate hope. It helps us to feel optimistic. It helps us to have faith in ourselves, even though we may not feel it. Someone else having faith in us is enough to sustain us until we can get back onto that place where we have a little bit of faith, we have a little bit of hope, we can sustain optimism. But it's very easy to do the opposite. And sometimes people are waiting for hope. And what I've been talking about this whole time is we have this capacity to embrace whatever comes up and generate the hope. Is focus on the glass being half full. We can focus on what can we do? How can we relate to this in a way where it generates hope, optimism, and faith, and that we are in this season of giving. And even though we may not have material things to give, or we don't receive material things, just by receiving kindness, receiving acknowledgement of us being important, us being a divine spark, a masterpiece. And if we can relate to each other as masterpieces, even though we may not be behaving or seeing or feeling connected, just by seeing the masterpiece and seeing, just like me, that person wants to be happy. Just like me, this person has this capacity to bring unconditional love and compassion and joy, comfort, and peace to whatever we're doing. And we generate that. It's not that it comes to us. We give joy, we give comfort. And by doing that, we forget ourselves to find ourselves, and we find that that joy, comfort, and peace is coming back to us. And those seeds that we are sowing are going to be reaped, if not in the immediacy of experience, in the future. So we're actually creating a future we want to live into, creating a future of joy, comfort, and peace.